Good morning. I'm going to start with reading one of the peace chants from the Upanishads. And it will kind of explain what the topic is about, outside, inside. May my speech be one with my mind, and my mind be one with my speech. O thou self-luminous Brahman, remove the veil of ignorance from before me, that I may behold the light. Do thou reveal to me the spirit of the Scriptures. May the truth of the Scriptures be ever present to me. May I seek day and night to realize what I learned from the sages. May I speak the truth of Brahman. May I speak the truth. May it protect me. May it protect my teacher. Om, peace, peace, peace. Making the outside, our actions and speech, identical with our inside, our thoughts and our emotions, is one of the tasks that most spiritual aspirants are trying to do. This transforms themselves so that there is no presenting one face to a certain group, another face to another group, so that you become totally integrated. As Krishna said in the Gita, I dwell both inside and outside all beings. Why should you see only me in one form? If we can make our speech in our mind, but what keeps us from doing that? Basically, it's our ego. Like the peace chant said, reveal the truth of the Scriptures. We need to lift that veil of ignorance that is our ego. But how do we do it? What's making our ego more prominent than our divinity in our everyday actions? Well, they say it's the 8 fetters. Now, many of you have read this in various scriptures. The 8 fetters are what bind us to the world. And until those drop, we will not be a well-integrated person. But what are the 8 fetters? Hatred, shame, pride of good conduct, lineage, fear, secretiveness, caste, and grief. Now, when we stop and think about these things, hatred we can see quite easily why that would attach us to the world and make our ego strong. Hatred shows a strong attachment to something. If we hate something, it means that we're strongly attached to something else. And this does not meet our judgment of what we want. I hate chocolate. I don't. But at one point I tried to convince myself I did so I wouldn't eat it. You can't hate something like that. What? I can choose not to eat it, but no, I had to convince myself I hate chocolate. Ooh, awful. So how do we get over hatred? Trying to see the divine in everything we encounter. Because hatred really is only a form of attachment. If we think about it, think carefully about what you say you hate. Dislike is a little easier to get over, but hatred, this is what causes divisions. It's causing emphasis on divisiveness rather than emphasis on oneness, which is what we're all trying to do. We want to see the unity in the one. Okay, if we go on to the next one, shame. Why does shame bind us to the world? Shame is just another form of judgment. It's judgment about ourselves. But why are you judging yourself? And what is your criteria for judgment? Is it other people's ideas? Is it your own idea of what you think you should be? What do you do that is shameful? We all make mistakes. That's only human. Is there a reason to dwell on our mistakes to the point where they cripple us? Or can we look at it and say, whoa, I really did not behave the way I know I am. So we look at our behavior, we look at what we're doing, and change it. That's all we have to do. Not make the same mistake over and over again. It's not going to get better. The rut in your mind will get deeper and deeper and deeper rather than lessening. There was a Zen master who said, if I change myself, I change the world. And this is true. The world is a reflection of your impression of it. It can be a world of misery, or as Ramakrishna said, it can be a mansion of mirth. It's all in your attitude and your perception. Okay, this one's a harder one. Pride of good conduct. Now, we all like to feel good when we know we're being good. That's okay, but taking pride in it, because pride is a huge ego attachment. I'm proud of doing this. Okay, but maybe you won't get if you're proud of it, you may not get the praise that you're expecting. And that can cause anger. That can cause frustration. So pride of good conduct is something we also have to watch in everything we do every day. Am I proud of how well I'm doing in my job? Am I proud of myself for getting out and exercising every single day like I know I should? Why take pride in it? Just do it. Do your job and go on to the next. Now, why is lineage a fetter to God realization? I would, in my opinion, it would be if we are proud of our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents, and take pride in their achievements and their being, will we strive to be a better person ourselves? Or will we rest on our laurels, as they say, and think we have to do nothing? Because, well, I mean, our family was here before the American Revolution. So, my parents fought, my father fought in World War II and helped this, okay, but does that really have any impact on me and what I'm doing? As a woman who said, she said, well, you know, in all of history, cream rises to the top and then it spoils. The rise and fall of everyone, all families, all countries, everything. Cream, the very best, rise to the top and then it spoils and they go down to the bottom and start over again. We use lineage to prop up our egos and think better of ourselves without making any effort, without discipline, without self-discipline, without discrimination, without thought. The fifth fetter is fear. Now, why is fear? What does that do to keep us from God realization? To keep us from seeing oneness? In my opinion, fear is the manifestation, the direct showing of non-reliance on God, non-belief in a higher power, non-belief in yourself. What do you have to be afraid of? I mean, truly, what do you have to be afraid of? Losing your job? Okay, it's a job. You can always get another one. Pain? Well, yes, pain will happen. But it seems to make it worse when you're afraid of it. Disasters will happen. But we don't have to fear them if we have a reliance on God or our inner divinity. There's really nothing to fear. If we truly believe, without a doubt, that God is one and we are all we are all part of that God, then no matter what happens, we'll be taken care of. It may not be in the way that we would anticipate, prefer, or want, but we will be taken care of because we have, with our past karmas, put ourselves in these situations. So there's nothing to fear. As I say, it's readjusting our own outlook, our own personality, becoming the person we really are. Secretiveness. I think everyone can kind of see why that would be a fetter. The more secrets you keep, usually the more afraid you are of being found out. And who are you keeping the secret from? Yourself? The other people in the world, do they really care? I mean, we all think we're the center of the universe. And in one way we are. But most people are so involved with their own things that they don't care what secrets you're keeping. And is any secret that harmful? We think so. The other problem with secretiveness is it usually takes you away from truth. If you're trying to keep secrets, you usually end up telling lies or fudging, which is about the same thing. You can't be direct and honest. And being direct and honest without having a lot of emotion or judgment attached to it usually doesn't upset other people as much as you think it would. If you can leave the emotion, judgment, and everything off and just state a fact. Most people are very, very kind and compassionate and will listen and not make a judgment themselves. Another fetter, caste. Now, we say we don't have caste in the United States, but oh, we do. We have caste also. We have different levels of society. We are very much attached to them. Identifying with that rather than with your divinity inside is a huge fetter. Oh, I'm a member of Mensa. Okay. Well, I haven't gone to college. And we take pride in all of these things. We attach pride to these things to make ourselves feel better. But, you are divine. Your nature is divine. Why do you have to identify with an outside group? Why not identify with divinity? I mean, we all join clubs, we do things, we have groups, but in nationalities, we definitely identify with nationalities. Why? All human beings on the planet are basically after exactly the same things in their lives. They all want to be happy, they all want to be loved, they all want freedom. And all of the actions that accrue from those three desires is what causes all the problems when we clash and don't see that we're all seeking the same things. And the last one, grief. How is this a fetter? Many of us, I think everyone has lost someone or something that meant a tremendous amount to them. But why is grief a fetter to God realization? Well, it's once more ego attachment. We have put ourselves in the limelight rather than the event. The more we hang on to grief, the more we're thinking about ourselves. And selfishness is ego attachment. And the only way we can get out of this suffering of the world is to drop the ego attachment. To quote Ramakrishna, all troubles come to an end when the ego dies. If, by the grace of God, a man but once realizes he is not the doer, then he at once becomes a Jivan Mukta, a free soul. This Maya, that is to say the ego, is like a cloud. The sun cannot be seen on account of a thin patch of cloud. But when that disappears, one sees the sun. If, by the grace of the Guru, one's ego vanishes, then one sees God. So, we all want troubles to come to an end. I mean, I don't know one person who wouldn't like that. And Ramakrishna says it very clearly. It'll come to an end when the ego dies. But we hang on to this ego like it's our life support. Like oh my God, I'll die if the ego dies. But that's not true. That's our fear. We've spent so much time in our life building up the ego, getting an identity, our own special identity, that it's very, very difficult to get rid of it. And to look at the broader picture and say, yes, I am a little bubble in this ocean. And I want to be that. Do I want to be that individualized bubble? Or do I want to be part of the whole? If I'm part of the whole, then there's nothing, absolutely nothing, to be afraid of. Because at that point, I am immortal, I am all-pervading, I am consciousness. Is that scary? We think it is because of our egos. You will have many, many people who have realized, well, not many people, but people who have realized that. And they are the people in this world who don't see conflict. Yeah, there's conflict, but they don't identify with it. They are at peace and content with whatever goes on. They don't have extreme highs of happiness. They don't have extreme lows of depression. They are content. And if contentment and peace of mind is not freedom from troubles, I don't know. They can love everyone equally. They can see the God in every person who comes along. And they can be there for everyone. This man, if you see, yes, we have different stages that we go through. Now, most of you are here on Sundays because you do have a strong belief in spirituality, or you're looking for a path that will agree to your idea of spirituality. So that's one hurdle out of the way. We've already agreed that there is a power higher than ourselves. We will call it God. We can call it Atman. We can call it Brahman. We can call it consciousness. But we have all pretty much agreed to that already, or you probably wouldn't be here. When we say a person has realized that, what we're saying is that at one point, a person decides or has the conviction that God exists. If without a doubt you have a conviction that God exists. Now, according to Ramakrishna, then you are already a jnani, which a jnani is a knower. To quote Ramakrishna again, he says, the man who knows God exists is called a jnani. A jnani is the one who knows beyond a doubt that a log of wood contains fire. But we want to go further than that. We want to get beyond knowledge, to experience. So he goes on to say, but a vijnani is he who lights the log, cooks over the fire, and is nourished by the food. The 8 fetters have fallen away from the Vijnani. Now they can keep up the appearance of anger, lust, and the rest, but it's simply an appearance. They can get angry at you, but it's a line on water. And that, I know I have experienced personally. My guru was into really scolding when he was to help you, okay? Now, he would give me some scoldings when I was very young that I would be in tears. I would be just, thinking I was the worst thing on the planet. But underneath it all, I knew he loved me more than anyone else in the world did, even though he was scolding me. Now, to have that ability to do that, you knew that the anger was on the surface. It had no depth. He would work up a play for my benefit, to help me and to take things out of my person, make me aware of things in my personality that I should work on. I remember one day I was in his room and he waited till about 6 other people came in. Then he scolded me. And I started to leave. And then another person walked in and it was like nothing had happened. And I thought, this is strange, but it's often the way gurus work. So if we do try to get the inside and the outside the same, which do you want to show the world? The outside? This is the one we have worked on and made up and presented. You develop certain attitudes, how you react to people. Or do you want to show the inside, which is much more vulnerable, much more vulnerable to criticism by people who are still judging? But their criticism cannot hurt you when you know who you are. Because as someone said, their opinion has nothing to do with me. Someone else's opinion of you, what does it have to do with you? It's all on them. It's in their hearts and their minds, not yours. So, how can we do the outside and inside the same? I'm willing to take ask for some observations on integrating the outside to the inside, if anyone would like to join in. I'm sorry?
Integrity. If you to combine the two, you would have to have integrity with yourself and the inside world and the outside world?
Yeah, we can do that. But is the outside world and the inside world, often when we go to work or in the out every day, the outside world comes at us in a way that if we're working on our inside, it often comes at us in a way that is shocking and disruptive. So, one of the ways that spiritual teachers have said, once you take up a path and you do decide to work on the inside and make the inside what it really is, often your life will change. And we have to be ready for that, because often you will find that the friends that you've had when you've been concentrating on the outside world, you don't have much in common with. And what you have in common with them becomes less and less. So you may develop a whole new set of friends, a whole new way of behaving. And many of us at first are not ready for that because we've had friends for years and years and years, but suddenly you don't have as much to talk about together because you're thinking more of your spiritual growth, and they're still thinking of, I don't know what the latest movie is, what things that are external. So often we're not ready for that change in our life. But it can happen. And one of the things they say to encourage spiritual growth and make this change is to find like-minded people. People who believe and are on the same path that you are. Because then you don't have the conflict and you're not constantly falling back into the old ways of behavior and the old thought patterns. And are these changes that we're ready to make in our lives? We all have to ask ourselves that. Is our spiritual growth important enough to us to pursue that with our entire being? Or is it something that we would like to just... I was an Episcopalian before I found Vedanta, and we went to church every Sunday. Now, it didn't make much more of an impression on me than that. I went to church every Sunday. And often that's all we want to devote to our spiritual life. And that's fine, because it is still an emphasis on spirituality at least once a week. And we all move at different rates and at different paces, but we're all going in the same direction. Every single person on this earth is going in the same direction at their own rate and pace. We're all going towards divinity, and there will be no failure. But as the Katha Upanishad said, what is within us is also without us. What is without us is also within. He who sees the difference between what is within and what is without goes evermore from death to death. As long as there is a difference between the outside and the inside, there is birth after birth that you have to take before it becomes integrated, until it becomes integrated. But there is no failure, because it will be integrated at some point. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Filled with Brahman are the things we see. Filled with Brahman are the things we see not. From Brahman floweth all, yet Brahman is still the same. Om, peace, peace, peace.